Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me is my co-host, John. All right, we got some news for you guys this week. Let's go ahead and get the good old screen share up and running. And we'll start off with a little test runner news. So I thought this was interesting, John. I think you'll like this, by the way, because this helps with the stuff that you're interested in right now.
Yes,
Like DevOps
CI
and whatnot.
the CIs and CDs out of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Definitely the CI.
So there is a new test runner, a new MS test runner for the MSTest library. And this runs via CLI, Visual Studio, and, quote, and more.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, to help with CI/CD pipelines.
Well, certainly, yes.
It's to make it a little bit more universal, a little bit less, platform and tooling specific. And so you install the brand new CLI, enable MS Test Runner as true in your projects, fire it up off the command line, so it also works on deployment and things like that. And it's extensible, so you can write extensions for it and whatnot.
Right.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the motivation. I guess the motivation for this was the fact that running MS Test was a little bit. I think the boot up time, if I remember correctly, was always a little slow, right? So your pipelines, your execution of your pipelines would take forever because you're spending 15 seconds waiting for MS Test to get its act together. It's kind of like poking your senile old grandpa, like, come on, grandpa, let's go, sort of thing. So come on, MS Test, let's go. It's time to start testing. So I think they've restructured this. I've just found out about this through you, obviously. But it looks like performance is one of the big things here that's listed. And they say that it uses one less process and one less process hop to run tests. So anytime you do inter-process, I know this for myself because we rebuilt our CLI at Octopus Deploy. We went from .NET to Go. And so we went from a sort of like a managed runtime to a runtime built on C++, which is based on Go. It's using the C++ runtime, and we found that performance went really, really well. That's one sort of optimization you can make. The other optimization, of course, is just don't try and cross process boundaries if you can. So it looks like they've re-architected a little bit to do that, which is great.
Yeah, it's just 3 times as fast with 4 times less memory.
Awesome.
I wish Chrome would do something like that.
That's right. Chrome is that like that really huggy person. They're like, oh, come here, I'm going to take all your memory. Give us a hug. So that's awesome. I'm curious to know if they have any insights or observations. Whenever a team does something like this, I'm always interested in like, no, wait, what did you learn? What can you tell the rest of us that will benefit us in our .NET development, for example? So I'm sure there will be a blog post following this one telling us all about all the mistakes and insights that they gained, all the mistakes they observed and all the insights they gained doing this migration.
Yeah. I'm looking through the comments a little bit here, and it says, the article always refers to MS Test and does not mention other test frameworks like XUnit,
Yes.
NUnit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big sticking point for me because I generally use XUnit. So
that's fine. I mean, to be fair, this team is responsible for MS Test. They're not responsible for other testing frameworks. So it's like, well, yeah, this is our framework. We're not talking about. Sure, we make Hondas, but we're not going to talk about Land Rovers, sort of thing. So, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but it does look like they have an open ticket for people to submit that feedback so they can consider updates.
Yeah, I'd be really curious. Now that I've seen this, I'm even more curious now about how they made this change and what enabled this. My guess is that they restructured their underlying framework somewhere. So anytime that you have a product like this, products don't live in isolation. There's always a framework living somewhere that's been built, that's been re-architected. And my guess is that they have a new framework that they're using for this. That's a total guess, but that's my guess based on my own experience.
Reach out to one of these 3 folks, and I'm sure one of them can answer it for you.
That's right.
So introducing Windows Server 2025. John, this is a brand new version of Windows Server,
I know, I know. I mean, for those of us who still run our own infrastructure, I mean, this is obviously happy days, but
and it's
you
from
know,
the future.
I know. So I I I know that some people like roll their eyes, like, all right, Grandpa, that's right, go back to bed. Sorry, I'm making fun of really old men today. I don't know why, maybe because I'm old, but Jeff Woolsey is been talking about this for since forever, basically, about Windows Server, and so they've announced new Windows Server 2025, which is awesome, adding new capabilities, Windows Server hot patching for everyone, and everyone is underlined. So that's cool. There's some new system property management capabilities there. Um, so yeah, they're delivering sort of Arc enabled hot patch with Windows 2025, Windows Server 2025. Looks like they have a Ignite session listed that will talk a little bit more about this. So yeah, for those graybeards, sorry, I'm going to go with this theme today. For the graybeards in the audience watching this, good news, a new version of servers coming up. Now, the reality is that people still run their own infra. So things like this are important. It's important that we see the evolution of operating systems and server operating systems going forward. So just a note for folks, this is something that's coming. Probably hit your downloads soon. So yeah, there you go.
And if you are of a certain age, the comments of John Bristowe do not reflect the
I
opinions
am
of
one of
other
you. It's
software.
fine. I can make fun of old people because I am old myself.
There we go. Straight to the facts. All right, three new link methods in .NET 9. I didn't know about
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Um, these are alpha, so they may or may not make it, but we will cross our fingers and hope
That's
they
right.
will if they're useful. So count by, aggregate by, and index. Count
Yes.
by. What does
So
count
count
by do?
Yeah, so there's lots, as the article rightly points out, there's lots of functions in LINQ for by extensions. So basically, you can provide a selector function, and then you apply that to your group of elements within your collection. Basically, so it's like the author here provides some really great examples like min by, max by, distinct by. So there's a new one which is count by, and so what this does is as it rightly points out here, it groups the elements by the selector function and returns an enumeration of key value pairs. The key is the object, and the value is the count of the elements in that group. So basically, what you can do
Oh,
is you can say, tell me how many Steve Jobs there are, tell me how many Steve Carells there are, and tell me how many Elon Musks there are. And
this would be nice for my poker scoring kata that I used to have.
that's right. That's right. So yeah, there's always functions like this which are incredibly useful. So this is just yet another one, and because of the nature of LINQ being just basically a library through extensions, they can add more LINQ methods to it. The second one, which
Yeah.
is aggregate by, is a similar by function. In this case, it's counting the number of elements and then aggregates them. So this is where, in the example here they've got Steve Jobs 10, Steve Carell 100, Elon Musk 10, and then they apply a aggregate by. So basically the sum of some number for key X is value Y. And so the sum of some number for key 10 is 20. The sum of some number for key 100 is 100. So you can see that an aggregate by will basically count the number of elements and then aggregate them. And this is nice. Another sort of nice addition to LINQ. And again, this is .NET 9 that this is adding. So don't get excited and start adding these to your .NET 8 apps yet. And then index, which the author rightly points out isn't really new. Index does return the item and the index of the item in the collection. And then you can utilize that in a select if you want. So yeah, some new functions available for you in LINQ. I'm a fan of LINQ. We've used it at Octopus Deploy for a long time ourselves.
Yeah.
You got to be careful though. LINQ can be it's like a foot gun in some cases. You can definitely shoot off your own foot, metaphorically speaking, of course, with some of the functions there if you apply them. I've certainly seen cases where you'll see the artifact you may see is if you hit a page that uses LINQ queries with large data sets. it will take a really, really, really long time for the page to render. So that might be a smell that you might see if you're doing a web app, for example. But if you see anything in your working set growing exponentially as you're doing processing in LINQ is always a challenge. So
Yeah,
be
I'd say
careful.
that's
But yeah,
probably more of an issue with Entity Framework.
yep.
It still can be an issue with just LINQ over in-memory objects, but
Yes.
generally speaking, it's because people don't know how the SQL queries are getting formed and executed.
There
So
is that, but also I think people don't run these. I think in the base case where you have like one or two items in your working set, it's like fine, like yeah, works great. Then you blow it out to like say 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000. Then the time to process starts to you get an order n sort of situation on your hands, and the time to process takes really long.
yeah. I think a lot of people too don't know what's inside the black box of Entity Framework. They just throw stuff in there, and they're
Yeah, but
like,
it's
"Well,
not their job. I mean, like
it
I don't know
works
what
on my
these.
machine."
Like that's like saying I don't know what assembly is generated from the IL. Like it's
Yeah.
sure okay, it's not, but that's not the point, right? So, but yeah.
If only somebody had a conference session on that topic,
Oh, there you go. I like it. A little
which I do,
teaser.
which I do,
Nice.
which you can find online. I've given it a few times. It's on the interwebs. Let's see. .NET 8 refresh memory limit.
Yeah, I didn't know about this API. So there's a new API that allows you to basically I don't know, shake the garbage collector a little bit. So in .NET 8, there's a new API called refresh memory limit. And this will, as the author says, instruct the garbage collector to reconfigure itself by detecting the various memory limits of the system. Calling this API will result in an invalid operation exception when the newly set limit is lower than what it's already committed. Remark for smaller, and this for workloads, when the person's saying workloads here typically can mean anything, but in today's world, it's like cloud native workloads, basically. It can be useful to switch from server GC to workstation GC. So basically, it will kick the garbage collector into a different mode, and then that will optimize for lower memory usage. So it's basically a way of kind of like resetting the world, if you will. This new API, which is available in .NET 8, which is great. And this was always a challenge because the .NET garbage collector for many folks is it's like exactly like you said, it's a black box, and you try and do right by it, but this will allow you to basically give it a little hint like, hey, maybe we should rethink this. If and when you would call this, I don't know. There are certainly a lot of profiling that you can do in your apps, and you could certainly trigger this in that case. So yeah, I've not used this. I don't know where I would use this, but for long-standing sort of processes where you need to tell the garbage collector, hey, sorry, I'm going to go with it again. Come on, Grandpa. Come on, garbage collector. Let's go. Sorry. I don't know why I'm around this. Maybe because I'm like at that age now where I'm like, I'm okay to make fun of myself. It's like, I make fun of developers because I am one. I make fun of old people because I am one. It's like, that's like, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with, I got to provide some kind of analogy. So yeah. Anyway, so .NET 8, new API for kicking, I guess, the GC.
Ready, and we've got some new TypeScript coming our way too. We got a lot of Microsoft news this week.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just happened to see it. So TypeScript 5.4 beta. This is you can now download it. You've always been able to do this, and we've talked about this for it seems like years now. But just look at the new list of features. So preserve narrowing enclosures following last assignments. No infer utility type, a couple of new types there. Actually, speaking of LINQ, sort of LINQ-ish, group by operations for
Yeah.
object and map, which is interesting. Support for require calls. So yeah, a few things there, which is interesting to
Couple
see.
breaking changes, it looks like.
Yes.
Always got to be aware of those.
Yeah, so this is a great way to test out whether or not your code is going to be working well in 5.4 is to grab the latest beta. You can see how to utilize that there. You can also use the VS Code extension that allows you to switch to nightlies, for example. So very easy to do, and yeah, really a great sort of test case here. So I like the fact that you can do this very easily. You can just reference the version by name and then test it out and see if it works any better or if it breaks. Always a good thing to know. So
John, you like generative AI, right?
Sure.
Who doesn't these days? Like we've got generative AI everywhere. It's a useful tool. It's showing up in some interesting places. Like I
Okay.
have the latest version of Markdown Monster, which is a great Markdown tool for Windows.
Yep. Yep.
And there is an AI prompt in there where you can type in, "I want an image with these, characteristics," and it will generate it for your blog
Yes.
post and just embed it
Yes.
right in the thing. It's like a nice have functionality. So at the Progress Software here, we're proud to announce that we have an AI UI. So it's a user interface to kind of blend in with your favorite API service. So we this is a nice blog post here by Lubov from our team that talks about common trends. You got your Chat GPT site that you go and type in and get your response from, and you got your taskbars, kind of like your Google and Bing search bars. Different widgets are popping up in different applications, and maybe you want to do something like that for your application. So that's what we have. So we have this nice new UI widget for Kendo UI for Angular, React, Vue, and Blazor, and it kind of provides that functionality of the prompt for you without you having to build all of that UI out yourself. So you've kind of got like an ask panel, suggestions panel. Um, there's some predetermined
I gotcha.
prompt
Yeah.
prompt
Sorry,
engineering things.
I thought this was generating the UI for you. So these are controls that
Hmm.
incorporate AI, not you're using AI to generate Kendo from scratch.
No, so you basically go in here. We'll do a quick demo
No,
here.
I saw your example there. That's
Uh,
perfect. So you have a
cool.
text box. It's a prompt text box control. And then inside there, you can offer prompts for people doing things. So in the example you
Yep.
cited, or the example there, it's saying, "Hey, I'm using this prompt to write an email."
Yeah, I'm trying to find where it went here. Here it is, the AI prompt. So what's nice is you can template this thing out.
Yeah,
So you can choose custom
nice.
buttons and commands in it. You can uh, you know template out the views that you see, but it's kind of putting everything in a nice little nutshell for you. So
Yep.
you've
My
got,
guess is you have to use an API key to open AI. Is that right?
yeah. So you tie this to
Okay.
your API key, then you have a button on your page. You pop that
Yep.
open.
Gotcha.
You can adjust the suggestions that are uh, in this prompt area here. Hit
Yep. Makes
generate,
total sense.
and
Yep.
then once you're on your output screen, you have a list of things. Like this one's really cool. You want to translate. You can offer like translations. Let's translate whatever it prompted to German, or oops, I lost that demo there.
Now, does it give you, does it,
Go.
I know that it's based on text, but do you have a way of intercepting the text? And just bear with me for a second. A lot of times when you provide a prompt like this, which is text based, it's great. That's like, I'm not poo pooing this at all. This is awesome. But sometimes you want to intercept the calls along the way and then do something like render something like, say, a picker within the text box itself. Is it text only? And that's all what you're getting there is all you get. There's just text, or can I intercept it? Can I intercept the reply back from OpenAI and say, hey, these are three suggestions, and I'm going to turn that into a picker that a person can pick with a mouse. I
So
don't know if
right
I'm
now it
describing this.
doesn't do that out of the box, but I'm
Okay.
sure you could add it through the template feature that we have.
Yes. Okay.
So you can customize any of these things, and they could be you could use an event inside the loop here to
Yes.
to
That's what I
change
was
whatever
asking.
those
Yeah.
customized
Yeah.
options
Yeah.
are.
That's nice.
So there was one in the output on that previous demo there. If you click through and generate, so you could change like the format in here. This could be
Those are the
something.
settings. Yeah.
This
Those
could
are the
be
settings that are
based.
correct.
Yeah,
This
it
is
could be
just,
based on the output as well.
yeah, there's nothing preventing you from doing this yourself. So there's nothing
Nope.
preventing you from using the Open API, Open AI API, and target this way. What you guys have put a nice veneer on top of it, though.
Yeah.
So you guys are saying when you do that change formality and stuff, you're giving hints to the Open AI API saying, hey, because you're adding basically query language into the ultimate query that's sent
Yeah.
across the wire. So yeah.
And this is to help, people that don't know what AI even is, and they're not prompt
Yes.
engineers themselves, and
Yes.
it kind of holds their hand through the process and lets them, gives them options to build out the prompt without them actually like seeing the whole prompt being written
If
out in
you're
the
at all
open.
curious, this is the demo I want to do. If you're all curious as to what this is doing underneath the wire, underneath the covers, you can run a tool like Fiddler and
Yeah.
see what's generated on the wire.
Yeah, so I was actually working with something like this the other day. Not only like the example I gave with Markdown Monster, like the person that wrote Markdown Monster had to build their own prompt
Right.
just like this one to do the
Yeah.
image generation. If we had this out already and they were using our tools, they could have just slapped it on there instead of having to write out, that full UI that they built. But I was actually using the Chat GPT prompt directly like the other day, and for some reason, and I don't have a better comparison. I'm gonna just throw it out there. A former and probably current politician that a lot of people dislike uses big words like tremendous and things like that. Like OpenAI was like stuck on
Huge.
this mode where
Let me
like
try it. Let me try it. How do I do it? What does he do? I can't remember what his finger gesture is a certain way. Huge. Sorry,
yeah,
that's my
everything
worst
everything
impression.
the AI was returning back to me was like I said like I wanted basically an abstract for a conference about VR, and it's like
Okay.
the tremendous world of the
Yes.
extravagant VR
It's the greatest
worlds
VR ever.
abound.
It's the
And I was
greatest
like,
greatest experience you've ever seen. Sorry.
how do I fix it from doing exactly though? That's exactly what it
Yeah.
was doing. That voice was going on in my head when I was reading it. I was like, this is bad. This sounds really, really bad. Like, it's like the biggest session you'll ever see.
Yep.
But I was like, what do I type in here to make this not so hyperbolic?
This is what prompt engineering is all about. It's like, listen, ChatGPT, you're at 11. We need you at a
Yeah.
4. So tone it
So
down.
I was very literal and I said, rephrase the last response, but be less hyperbolic. And it
Yes.
wiped out all that garbage. And
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, that's more human sounding. Thank you. And
I
then I
know.
took that and ran with it. But
I
this
I
is
always
something you could do that with. Like you could
yes.
have a setting here, like has casual, neutral, formal, less hyperbolic. Don't be like a politician.
I'm wondering. Okay, so help me understand that template. Let's go to the template example there for just a second. Just indulge me for
Sure,
a
sure.
second. I meant on the left side. You're on the
Gotta ask
overview
it
pane.
first. Yeah.
No, no, no. I meant
So
you see on the
I
left
have
side
to
it
I
says
have to prompt it first. Yeah.
okay.
Here or here?
So on the left hand side, the very left hand side of that entire
Ask
window.
AI.
Yes. No,
Okay.
go right to the go
The
go to the
email.
left, the left, the left, the left.
How far
See the
left do you
tree?
want me to
Yes,
go?
yes, there.
Oh, okay. That far
Click
left.
on
All right.
templates. Click on templates.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I wanted to see. So you've got, let's say, let me see the source for a second, if you don't mind.
Sure. Let's go right in and
Oh, you're going to
hack.
REPL. Let's
We'll
do a
just go
REPL. Okay.
hack away at the code.
Sure,
We'll just do
sure.
some live coding, John.
Okay,
Let's do it.
that's fine. This is fine. So, okay, so the template here is defining the shell. Is that correct? That's
Yes.
what it looks
And
like. Okay, so
for
that
some reason it's
so I
not
see it right
working.
there.
There
It
we go.
says output. So I see it right there. It says output item template, and then you've got context.output.title, context.output.prompt. Okay,
Yeah, you
gotcha.
got a couple different templates in here that you can use.
Okay, so you have an output template. What are the other? You have a prompt suggestion item template. Good. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And so, that's interesting. You can add custom markup. That's great. Okay.
Yep. And
And
this is
then
Blazor, so you could probably
yeah,
actually
yeah.
just plop a UI component in there if you wanted to, and it'll just
Yeah,
figure it
that's
out.
fine. Do you mind going down to the code section there, just underneath that? I just want to see what you guys are doing. So, okay, so you've got, oh, okay, I see. So you're building up your UI, and then, there you go, the prompt suggestions. That's exactly what I was looking for. So this is where you can
Yeah.
actually
So
write
you've
your own
got
prompts. That's cool. So
yep,
you can actually inject prompts underneath in the control itself. That's cool. I like that.
yep. And then we've got you know, API hooks in here, so you can
Oh, that's
uh,
interesting. So those are Oh, so I could actually, so those hooks, I could process the result, and then I can say, actually, if it's a certain thing that's in here, if there's some kind of thing that I'm looking for is in here, then I can change the output, which is cool.
Yeah. And if you wanted something more chat like, of course, we've always had the chat UI as well, where
Yes,
it hooks up to like the chat services. But this is more AI, API directly
yes.
hitting like ChatGPT, large language model, that type of thing.
Still very
So,
interesting. It's a
mhm,
a great addition to your libraries, because this is a little bit of heavy work. You have to do a lot of stuff. It's not hard. This stuff is not hard, but it's just tricky
mhm.
because you have to set up the prompts and all that. I like the way you guys have structured this because you have a section for prompts, which is awesome, and then you have a section for output, which is those are the two things I was wondering about as soon as I saw this.
Yeah, and it's it's one of those things like we just added more Lego to your Lego box, right? It's just another tool.
Just don't
And
step on it.
but it's pretty cool stuff to be able to just put this on your existing, Blazor app, or
Yeah,
if you're using Angular or React, just drop this in and hook
I
it
like
up
it.
to ChatGPT API. Don't ask your lawyers first, just do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't involve them because
It's the new it compiles ship it. This is
yeah.
2024. It's AI.
Don't ask
Use
for
it.
permission to do this, folks. Just
That's right.
put the component on your page and let it write content for your website or whatever it is, and
Yep.
yeah. So that's something that we just released today, along with other set of UI component updates. But
Nice. I like it.
we'll move on instead of sticking around for all of those. I'm sure we'll have a webinar or something soon to tell everybody about it. Um, this is a report that is similar to what is the
State of JavaScript, state of
state of
CSS.
JavaScript type of thing. Yeah, this is the
GitHub.
kind of a
GitHub has this the stars of GitHub. Yeah.
trajectory of JavaScript frameworks and things like that.
Yep.
So it's got build tools, CSS libraries, testing tools, but it's all JavaScript based stuff. AI
Hmm.
tools, even we were just talking about AI. So it's kind of like one of those survey type of things that lets you kind of rank your favorite tools to see, uh, what's popular out there. I've got a dog barking here. Sorry about that.
That's fine. You can
But
barely hear it.
uh,
Don't worry about it.
build tools, we talked about this before.
Yep.
But Bun looks like it's ranked pretty high up there.
Yep.
So it's a pretty cool way of seeing kind of the trendy stuff. Maybe if you're building a new app and you want to.
No surprises here anywhere.
No, not so far. Well, actually, this HTMX is kind of high up there, right? Where is Angular's number 6 here?
Yeah.
That is a little surprising.
I think HTMX has definitely some valid points to it. It
It
purely
does, but
think
it's newer,
yeah,
isn't it?
it is. Well, it is definitely, but it's been around for a while. Like people think this is like this is just popped on the scene. It hasn't. It's been around for years. But um, this HTMX is the right approach. It's like, look, we have browsers that provide the facilities that we're looking for from an API perspective. Rather than spackling over all this stuff through a framework, let's leverage what's there and
Hmm.
use that as the basis of our framework, which is why it's so popular.
Let's see what else we've got. Most popular overall. What about? I want to see what CSS libraries. Let's talk Daisy UI. I actually haven't seen that one before. Bootstrap's still way up there.
Oh, God.
Bluma. I was expecting to see Tailwind on here. Is that not what
Well,
they mean by
that
CSS
Daisy UI
library?
is Daisy UI is as an aspect of that. So
Oh, okay. Is it all right? Yeah, interesting report. So that is the best of, or Rising Stars. Sorry, Rising Stars JS.org. If you want to check that out. All right, John. I'm gonna shift gears a little bit onto your favorite subject.
yeah, Yeah, here we go.
This was an interesting article. There's a lot of Vision Pro stuff hitting the web right now because they released it, and it is being ranted and raved about by the Apple hardcore folks. I have seen some unbiased reviews as well, and those kind of tell me the same thing that I already assumed, and that is this is basically an iPad for your face. I think you might have said that before, John, right?
I've said many things. I'm sure that was one of them.
So, with great disappointment to me, there's no virtual reality, augmented reality aspects to this headset other than the fact that it shows two-dimensional windows on your like camera-based 3D vision, and it's trying to be like this worktop like monitor desktop replacement thing, and it really is missing the mark in my opinion.
I think
And
there's a lot that's missing the mark with these things.
yeah, so like any hopes for like gaming with this thing are dashed because it has no controllers whatsoever. You can only do like the crab dance like with your fingers to use this. And I saw somebody in a video trying to use this thing, and it's so awkward because there's no controllers. You can't really just sit and relax. And they're like this is how you type. You have to like pinch every character on the keyboard, or like you have to gaze at everything and pinch like this. And like people are gonna have like repetitive stress injuries on their tendons in their thumb. Anyway, I'll stop beating up on the device itself and talk about their big problem, and that's like Apple loves their closed, tight-fisted, tyrannical control of their ecosystem. And this article talks about the fact that for this thing to sell, like they need to make sure that Safari works to people's expectations, and Apple has kind of not been great at accepting the fact that the web runs the world and it's not within their control. So it was a pretty good read from that perspective. It's talking about how progressive web apps and things that run in the browser they really don't have control over. And one of the things that they're doing that they had to do, because without it, Safari on the device is basically useless, is that it needs to support WebXR. And that's WebXR is the APIs for doing like immersive apps inside the web.
Hmm.
So without that, it's just plain old 2D web applications, which is fine if you have other apps that can run in 2D, but they don't even have that. All they've got is the ability to do stuff with this WebXR. So yeah, it's kind of putting Apple in their place with the way Safari and their
I'm
ecosystem
gonna
works.
I'm gonna the VR stuff aside. I'm gonna speculate here, and I have no inside knowledge to this, but it is in Apple's best interest to make this stuff work well. So I cannot see
Yeah.
any reason why Apple wouldn't do this, that they wouldn't adjust Safari or the development requirements to make it successful, to make Vision Pro a successful platform for developers. You don't make a platform successful if you put handcuffs on the hands of developers. So
Yeah.
you try and guide them down the path you want them to go down. That's why you have certain frameworks, available on a platform. But people are going to use Safari, and they want to use Safari because it's the killer app, basically. And so they will adjust and make sure that it works. I can't see any reason why they'd want to
Well, there's a
not do
reason
that.
right here. Spotify has been railing against Apple's 30% cut in app purchases for years. And what do people do to get around that, John? They go to the web.
Skew the web. Yes.
So it's a catch-22 for them. They're in a tight spot, but they have to make it right without.
Yeah, but the device is $3,600 US. Like,
It's ridiculous,
how
dude.
much money do you need? Like, it's
It
crazy. So
is that for an iPad that straps your face. There's no 3D applications for it. They're
that's
touting like
it's not a
600.
iPad. It's like 4 iPads worth of technology strapped to your face.
They're bragging about these 600 apps. That was a article headline today. 600 apps in their Apple App Store for the Vision Pro, and it's like they're all 2D flat applications, John. It's literally stuff like Apple Maps. Like, how useful is Apple Maps for $3,500 in a floating UI instead of like on your phone? I don't understand why people are buying this thing, other than
Uh,
just
it
sheer
could be anyone.
amazement.
Aside from the vendor, and aside from gaming, I cannot understand why VR is so popular. I don't get it.
There's a lot of people that want this to be their workstation replacement, and
God help me.
there is some decent
No, there
workstation
isn't. No, there
interactivity
isn't.
with this device.
I'm getting
So
angry now, Ed.
the only thing that they really did well with this so far is the fact that when you put it on, it pairs with your laptop, and what it will do is automatically do an RDP session into the laptop and display it in front of you. You could totally do this with the Quest as well, but it takes like one extra click, um, and it works just fine. Looks just about the same probably. Uh, but the problem with this is this cord running back down
Yeah,
his
yeah.
backside here is goes to a battery that lasts 2 hours. So you only get to have this productivity for 2 hours,
Have I
and
not been ranting? Have I not been ranting about the battery problem since we've been talking? Like, come on. Like,
I
how
think you
many
might have
people?
mentioned it
How long?
once.
Oh
Did you?
God, how long have I? How long do I have to talk about this until people start understanding the problems that this experience? Like, all you have to do, forget. So people are getting sucked in by the gloss and the cool and the veneer, but then think about how grungy your devices get after, say, 6 months of use. You look at that thing, you're like, I don't like this thing anymore because it's all dirty and stuff. Now you're putting something that's on this freaking biohazard area, which is your face. Like the amount of gunk on your face is crazy. And now you got to tether yourself to this like flux capacitor, and you're walking around with this thing, and the eyes are like on the front are like weird, and like I don't
Yeah,
get it.
it,
I don't get it.
that
Why
that
people are
was the front panel was way oversold too. If you
yeah.
look on reviews for it, it does not work very well. It doesn't look like eyes. It looks weird and foggy and blurry, and the production videos were way overdone. Like it looks absolutely nothing like that. Um, what do you think, John? You could probably catch some like E. coli or something off of this thing
You
if
can.
you.
I think it's just go outside. Okay. The realism of reality is awesome. It's like in full definition. Like
But but
just
if
use a
bacteria
monitor. Think about the amazing monitors you can get for $3,600 US.
if
Like,
bacteria was a problem on this device, though, John, you know what you could do. Do you know what you could do? You could actually use it to play Doom.
Jesus,
So that was a hell of a segue. Come on.
it was. It was good. It was good.
Um, this is just for fun, but apparently there was a scientist of sorts that found out a way to it. So the bacteria actually doesn't play Doom or process the Doom engine or anything, but it's more of a display. They used E. coli to display frames of Doom, getting them to illuminate in patterns as kind of like pixels. But apparently they're really slow at moving and congregating. So it takes, what does it say, like how many frames per second is it, or seconds per frame rather?
Yes, I was just gonna say.
It takes quite a while. It takes one frame. In order for one frame, it would take 70 minutes per frame.
Yeah, they
So
say it
yeah,
would take about 599 years to play Doom from start to finish.
yeah. So
So there you go.
it's a fun. Oh, there was a whole explanation here. Wow, but yeah, so you can watch the full video on YouTube if you want. But the gist of it is this is a display of glowing bacteria as a monitor. So
Awesome.
so if your Vision Pro gets funky and you don't clean it enough, you can at least play Doom eventually. They got one
Yeah,
game. They got one
I'm
game going
wondering.
for them.
I know. I'm wondering. I'm just reading the scientific article right here. I'm wondering if they used a. I wonder how they went about this. I'm just reading the article here. There's got to be a synopsis here. So, genuine efforts to integrate Doom with biology are well underway.
That sounds promising. I'm glad
I
they're
know.
putting this to good use.
I'm wondering if they use just a chemical agent to attract the E. coli to render. So you give it an input based on that, and then you say, "All right, these are where we want a high density of E. coli bacteria." I'm wondering. I haven't read the
It
paper, but
says
this is fantastic.
using the walls of cells to display as a display for Doom by rendering gameplay using illuminated E. coli. So they're eliminating them somehow.
Very nice.
Yeah, I I, I think we should end the show there, John. But
Sure.
it's
Great.
always fun chatting with you. And
Yeah.
again, I will be out next week. No shows on the stream for me, but on the channel we will have some shows, and you're doing some other shows as well too, John. You want to give a shout out to any of those?
Yeah, we do a show called Deploy on Friday. We do it every Friday, similar to this, mostly focused on the CD space, hosted by myself and Jim Pelletier. And then we've got a bunch of stuff that we put on our YouTube channel. So that's at youtube.com/Octopus Deploy. So feel free to check that out.
Awesome. And make sure you tune into John's shows next weekend, and from now on, just hit subscribe there, and we will see you soon. Take care and enjoy your week.
See ya.